All right, welcome back. We want to turn to immigration reform right now. The president giving a list of demands to Congress yesterday on what's being called the toughest immigration crackdown in American history. Top immigration priorities reportedly include this: building the border wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, hiring 10,000 ICE officers and 600 prosecutors, using mandatory E-Verify and a new points-based system for green cards. In an olive branch to Democrats, the president also agreed that he won't deport Dreamers if they vote to build the wall. Joining us right now is the counsel to the president, Kellyanne Conway. And Kellyanne, it is good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
So you had an important call last night. You said 7 o'clock, 7:15 call last night about immigration reform. Are you expecting Democrats to play ball with the president on this?
Well, let's hope so, because I don't know what's so unreasonable about wanting to have 300 new immigration judges, 1,000 additional ICE agents, because these folks just don't have the resources they need to enforce our existing laws, the interior enforcement, but also to figure out the challenges of the border. It still is very vexing, all the folks who are trying to come into this country illegally. This immigration plan also would really crack down on these visa overstays, limit chain migration to spouses and children, and it would also, Maria, try to, well, we hope successfully, get these unaccompanied minors back home, because we have thousands and thousands of them here, and it's dangerous for them. The other thing is, you know, this call, I should just remind your viewers, it wasn't a call that we just had at the White House or with Fox Business and Fox News. It was a press call. It was a Capitol Hill call.
Right.
So the question is, why are you and very few people only covering this major legislative initiative today that was put together in concert with Capitol Hill, the White House, Department of Homeland Security, Border Patrol, Department of Justice, Health and Human Services, Department of Labor? This is a multi-agency department attempt to really crack the code of a very vexing challenge in our nation today.
And if you look back at some of these politicians who are pushing back on the president's plan, they said similar things years ago. They, too, saw the issue of undocumented people coming here, taking jobs. They wanted some kind of a letter of the law to actually create some structure.
That's right.
So it's not a new idea, but the president's just enforcing it.
It's not a new idea. The president is, and look, this is a big part of how he won. He made this an issue in the primaries, he made it an issue in the general, and he became president because he said, guys, we just have to enforce the laws that exist.
Yeah.
People are flouting the laws. Folks are looking the other way. And again, it's a real challenge to the Democrats to go home and tell their constituents what is so unreasonable about enforcing the law, about stop granting sanctuary to illegal aliens. In some cases, we know, who have been deported multiple times, have broken the law multiple times, and have murdered or been responsible for the death of Americans. This is also about protecting the American worker and the American employers, job creators who do want to keep more jobs here in this country and who want to hire Americans. We should just be raising their pay. This idea that you immediately just tap into an illegal workforce instead of raising the pay for Americans who do want to do those jobs. I find one of the most elitist, obnoxious things that people say is that illegal immigrants do the jobs Americans don't want to do. There are a lot of Americans out there who are looking for jobs, and we need a skilled workforce to fill the jobs, 6 million or so that are unfilled, and we need to encourage and incentivize more Americans from taking other jobs that exist.
Is it Senator Corker who's in the way here? Where are the challenges right now? Because obviously one of the stories of the day is this fight that the president's having with Senator Corker, and we're wondering if actually this fight's going to impact the agenda.
Well, we certainly hope we have Senator Corker's vote, because he has committed himself to the people of Tennessee to vote on health care reform and tax reform, immigration reform. I'm sure anybody can roll a tape of him committing to those principles, by and large. I think that the palace intrigue that everybody covers to the exclusion of issues is very regrettable for this country, because the idea that they're covering who's up, who's down, when the key is the stock market's up and unemployment is down. That's what's most important to Americans. And Senator Corker was never really forgiven by a number of conservatives across this country, many of whom supported President Trump, for allowing the Iran deal to go forward onto the Senate floor. The president is examining this deal, obviously, in concert with his team. And the fact is, Maria, that I just grew up at a time where you are of the mindset where most of that should be talked about in private. Senator Corker was in the White House 2 short weeks ago. He had a meeting with the president. I think that's the right place to perhaps say, here are the agenda items I think we can help you push forward in my remaining months as senator.
Should the president then just have ignored it? I mean, not carried it on with the tweets back and forth?
But the president's a counterpuncher. Again, I think if a senator is giving a press conference or a press avail, he or she chooses how to spend that time. You can spend that time talking about the agenda, talking about why it's important that the middle class get a tax cut, why we should reduce the rate on our job creators, why should we repatriate trillions of dollars that is legally parked overseas, bring the wealth and the jobs back here, or you can insult the president.